Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the HSS Valiant, her eyes fixed on the starfield dissolving into a strange blackness beyond the viewport. The Milky Way's spiral arms faded into nothingness, space uncharted, unexplored, and long whispered, about inhuman lore as the galactic edge. A void so deep, so alien, it was almost a myth. But here she was on humanity's most ambitious mission yet, to cross that boundary. The Valiant was more than a ship. It was a symbol of human tenacity. Its sleek hull shimmered with the latest tech, quantum engines fueled by dark matter, shields that bent light, and the revolutionary singularity sail, designed to fold space itself, to leap past the limits that had kept humanity tethered to the familiar galaxy. Behind Alara, the crew bustled, tense but determined. Navigator Rion Markov checked the star charts again and again, verifying their trajectory. Scientists huddled over consoles, running simulations on every reading. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation and the unspoken fear of the unknown. Crossing. Point in 5 minutes, Ryan announced, voice steady but edged with awe. Ilara nodded, gripping the armrest of her chair. All systems green, engines optimal, singularity sail ready, communications normal. She took a breath. This is it. Initiate sail deployment. The order triggered a hum that filled the hull, subtle but deep. Outside, the faint glow of distant stars shimmered, then bent, like looking through warped glass, as the ship's engines began to twist space. The singularity sail unfolded like a ghostly spiderweb, shimmering with the raw power of a collapsing star. Crossing in 3, 2, 1. In an instant, the Valiant surged forward, plunging through a rip in space-time. The stars fractured, streaking into lines of light. The crew gripped consoles as the ship strained against the unknown. The air felt thicker here, almost electric. Seconds stretched into minutes. Then the viewport cleared. Before them lay the galactic edge, a vast empty expanse, no stars, no gas clouds, just darkness. But it wasn't peaceful. It was a vacuum pregnant with menace. Report, Alara commanded. Sensors beeped erratically. No natural matter detected, Captain. Just void, and a faint energy signature. It's artificial. Artificial? The word hung in the air, like a shock. Dr. Kavir Chen, the ship's lead xenophysicist, looked up from his station, eyes wide. It's weak but structured, nothing we've ever seen before. Some kind of megastructure? Alara leaned forward. Bring it up. The screen flickered, then resolved into an image that stole all the breath from the bridge. A colossal ring, tens of thousands of kilometers across, floating silently in the black. Its surface was pitted with geometric patterns that glowed faintly, a lattice of unknown material. It wasn't orbiting anything. It circled an abyss so absolute even light seemed to vanish into it. What the hell is that? Ryan muttered. Whatever it is, Kavir said, voice low. It's ancient, and it's been here a long time. Alara's heart pounded. Scan for activity. Are we alone? The ship's AI, Valen, responded in its calm voice. Scanning. Anomalous energy detected. No life signs. Structural integrity appears stable. However, a low-level electromagnetic pulse emanates intermittently. EM pulses? Alara frowned. Could it be a weapon? Or a beacon, Kavir suggested. Then let's send a probe, Alara said, determination stealing her tone. I want eyes on that thing. Minutes later, the probe launched silently, slipping through the void toward the ring. Every crew member held their breath as sensor readings streamed back. The ring's surface was a tapestry of symbols that resembled a dead language. Hieroglyphs twisted into fractal patterns, glowing softly with energy. Heat signatures were non-existent, but the magnetic field fluctuated like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the probe's signal flickered. Losing feed, Ryan shouted. Static filled the comms, then the image stabilized, for a moment showing a flicker of something inside the ring's hollow center. Something moving. Ilara's blood ran cold. Retrieve the probe. Now. The feed cut off. The bridge fell into a stunned silence. We didn't expect anything alive here, Kavir whispered. But that was no glitch. Something's inside. Or someone, Ilara said quietly. And they know we're here. As the Valiant hovered at the edge of the galactic frontier, the crew realized they had crossed not just a physical boundary, but a threshold into something vast, ancient, and unknowable. Beyond the stars lay the dark heart of a secret that could redefine humanity's place in the cosmos. And no one on the ship was prepared for what was about to awaken. The HSS Valiant hung motionless in the pitch-black void beyond the galactic edge. The colossal ring-shaped megastructure loomed before them, an alien relic suspended in the emptiness. Despite the silence, the air on the bridge was thick with unease. Captain Ilara Voss paced, every step echoing softly against the metallic floor. Around her, the crew stared at the holographic projection shimmering in the center of the room, an impossibly vast ring, tens of thousands of kilometers in diameter, enclosing a void that seemed to swallow all light. It's like nothing we've ever encountered, said Dr. Kavir Chen, his voice low with reverence. The geometry is non-Euclidean. Patterns shift subtly, like the structure is breathing. But it's not biological, not alive. At least not in any way we understand. Ilara crossed to the main console, fingers dancing over controls. Valen, status report on the Singularity, sail and propulsion systems. The ship's AI responded crisply. All systems stable. Energy fluctuations detected near the ring's surface. Weak but consistent pulses every 37.2 seconds. That's oddly precise, Ilara murmured. Navigator Ryan Markov frowned, scanning his readouts. The gravitational field around the ring is warped. Our sensors can't get a stable lock. The void it encloses has zero mass, yet it bends, space like a black hole. Suddenly the ship shuddered. Not violently, but enough to set a cold edge through the crew's nerves. What was that? Ilara demanded. Unknown, Valen said. Energy spike detected from the ring's inner edge. The crew fell silent, eyes fixed on the instruments. Then the viewport flickered, space distorted, then resolved into an eerie sight, flickering shadows swirling inside the ring's empty center, where no matter should exist. Ilara swallowed hard. Is that a phenomenon or a sensor glitch? Kavir's eyes were glued to his display. It's real. Quantum fluctuations beyond anything we've cataloged. The void inside the ring isn't empty. It's a window. A breach. Into what? Ryan asked, voice tense. Something else, Kavir said grimly. Ilara's mind raced. They had crossed into uncharted space and found a cosmic artifact. But now the artifact was showing signs of instability, maybe even hostility. She gripped the edge of the command chair, forcing calm. Prepare a reconnaissance shuttle, she ordered. I want a team to investigate the ring's surface up close. No more probes. Too risky. The crew scrambled to comply. As technicians prepared the shuttle, murmurs spread, a mixture of excitement and dread. This mission was fast becoming a descent into the unknown. The shuttle detached smoothly, gliding toward the ring. Ilara watched on the bridge monitors as its sensors scanned, the surface revealing a mosaic of panels etched with glowing runes and fractal patterns. The material shimmered with an iridescent sheen, titanium-like but with impossible strength. Look at this, Kavir said, zooming in. These markings, they resemble ancient human scripts, but twisted. It's as if whoever made this studied humanity's ancestors. Suddenly, the shuttle's comm crackled. This is Shuttle Echo 1. Approaching surface now. Sensors picking up low-frequency vibrations, almost like a heartbeat. Ilara leaned forward. Echo 1, report. The voice of pilot Latir Mara Jin came through, strained. Captain, something's wrong. The shuttle systems are fluctuating. Sensors showing rapid temporal distortions. Feels like time itself is unstable. Pull back, Ilara ordered. No, can do, Mara replied, voice panicked. The ring's magnetic field is locking us in. On the bridge, the ship jolted again, stronger this time. Shields holding, Ryan said, voice tense. Echo 1 to Valiant, Mara said. I'm seeing something inside the void. Movement, shadows, Eyes? Ilara's skin prickled. Describe. Like, shapes shifting. Not solid, but aware. Watching. Suddenly, the shuttle's feed cut out. Echo 1, respond, Ilara shouted. Only static answered. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos. The loss of the shuttle was a harsh blow. But worse was what their sensors had detected inside the ring's void. Something alive or conscious. Captain, Kavir said, voice grim. The ring isn't just a structure. It's a prison. A prison? Ilara repeated, eyes narrowing. Yes. The void at its center is a containment field, holding something unimaginably dangerous. The electromagnetic pulses. They're warnings, or barriers. Ilara processed the implications. And our presence triggered a reaction. Exactly. She turned to the crew, voice steel. This changes everything. We came looking for answers. Now we must prepare for consequences. Activate defensive protocols. Keep the ship on full alert. Captain, Ryan said. There's something else. Ilara gestured sharply. Go on. New signals, not random noise. They're repeating. Patterned. Human languages, distorted but recognizable. Impossible, Kavir said, shocked. How could something that old be broadcasting human speech? Ilara felt a chill crawl down her spine. Put it through the comm channels. The bridge speakers crackled, then a distorted voice echoed. Help. Remember, we are the first. Ilara's hand froze on the console. Who is we? No one answered. Hours later, the crew gathered in the briefing room, tension hanging like a storm cloud. Ilara addressed them, voice calm but resolute. We stand at the edge of a cosmic mystery that may redefine humanity's history and future. This ring is not just alien. It's linked to us in ways we don't understand yet. Whatever it holds inside that void, it's powerful, ancient, and waking. Kavir added, the signals we received suggest an intelligence once connected to humanity, maybe an ancestor or something beyond our origin stories. Or a warning, Ilara said. We can't ignore the risk, but we can't turn back either. We're the first humans to breach the galactic edge, and that means we carry humanity's fate with us. She looked at each member of her crew, eyes sharp and commanding. Prepare for what comes next. We don't know what's inside that void, but whatever it is, it's watching us now. As the Valiant hovered on the precipice between galaxies, the void seemed to pulse, a heartbeat in the abyss, and the crew realized they were no longer just explorers. They were witnesses to something unthinkable, a cosmic secret that might be humanity's greatest discovery, or its doom. The HSS Valiant drifted at the edge of the cosmic ring, suspended between awe and dread. Inside the ship, the hum of machinery masked an unease growing heavier by the hour. Captain Ilara Voss stood before the main viewport, staring into the yawning void at the ring's center, a darkness so absolute it seemed to swallow all light, even the ship's distant glow. The emptiness wasn't just a vacuum, it felt alive, like a silent, watchful presence waiting. Captain, Dr. Kavir Chen called from the science station. You need to see this. Ilara turned as Kavir's fingers flew over the console. The sensors had begun to pick up faint signals, echoes, fragments of sound, human voices distorted by layers of static and time. Play, she ordered. The bridge speakers crackled, then a disembodied voice filled the room. Remember us, we were first. We are still here. The voice was broken, haunting, like a ghost from the distant past trying to reach out. The words repeated in cycles, sometimes overlapping, distorted by interference that twisted. The meaning, Lieutenant Marajin, fresh from the lost shuttle, looked pale. It sounds like they're trying to communicate. But who? Ryan Markov wondered aloud. No known species, no records of any civilization beyond the galaxy, let alone something ancient enough to build that ring. Kavir's eyes were distant. What if they're human? A silence fell. Ilara's voice was sharp. Explain. Kavir hesitated, then leaned in. The patterns in the signal share uncanny similarities with proto-human languages lost to time, predating any known human civilization. It's as if this intelligence predates recorded history. Maybe it's ancestral. Ilara frowned. You're suggesting there's a human or post-human presence out here? Not just presence, Kavir said. A legacy, a memory preserved in the void. The signals grew stronger over the next hours, their messages becoming more complex and chilling. One morning, Communications Officer Lieutenant Amina Saeed interrupted a briefing. "Captain, you need to hear this," she said, voice shaky. On the comms, a new voice emerged, clearer, urgent. "Do not trust the ring. Do not wake it. We sealed it away. You carry the key." The room fell silent. The warning felt like a knife slicing the tension. "What key?" Ilara demanded. "What are they talking about?" "No one knows," Kavir admitted. "But it sounds like this ring is more than a monument. It's a prison. And the message implies we're awakening something best left dormant." Ilara's mind raced. She'd prepared her crew for the unknown, but this was beyond any mission protocol. "We need to investigate the source of these transmissions," she said. "Analyze everything, and keep the crew on alert. If the ring reacts, we have to be ready." That night, as the crew tried to rest, the ship's systems began behaving erratically. Ilara was called back to the bridge by Valen's calm but insistent alert. "Captain, unusual activity detected within the ship's communication arrays." She arrived to find screens flickering with fragments of intercepted messages and, disturbingly, snippets of personal conversations from the crew themselves. Echoes of laughter, arguments, even private confessions played back through the ship's speakers. "How is this possible?" Mara Jin asked, eyes wide. "Not possible," Kavir said, voice tense, "unless the ring's influence is reaching into the ship's systems. It's not just broadcasting out there, it's broadcasting in here." Then, the strangest event. Junior engineer Luis Ramirez suddenly collapsed, gasping and clutching his head. "I heard her. My sister," he whispered hoarsely. "She was calling me. Through the comms." Ilara rushed to his side. "Who, Luis? What are you saying?" Luis's eyes fluttered open, glazed. "She's gone. Dead years ago. But I heard her voice clear as day from the void." Panic rippled through the crew. Over the next days, strange phenomena multiplied. Crew members reported vivid dreams, nightmares that felt like memories of places they had never visited. Shadows flickered in the corners of vision. Some swore the ship's corridors whispered their names. Psychologist Dr. Lila Moreno warned Ilara privately, "This isn't just stress or isolation. The ring's influence is altering perception, blurring the line between reality and hallucination." Ilara realized the mission was no longer just scientific, it was psychological warfare. The ring was reaching into their minds, stirring long-buried fears and memories. Then came the breakthrough, and the final warning. Kavir, working obsessively at his station, suddenly looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. "I've decrypted part of the signal," he said. "It's a message, a record left by those who built the ring." He played the translation. "We were born from Earth's first light. We soared beyond stars but fell into darkness. We became gods and monsters. This ring is our prison and your inheritance. Beware what you awaken." The words echoed through the bridge like a curse. Ilara felt a chill settle deep inside her. The crew was no longer just facing a cosmic relic. They were staring into the reflection of a forgotten, terrifying part of humanity itself, and the void was watching. The HSS Valiant drifted in the shadow of the cosmic ring, the immense structure towering like a silent sentinel against the void. Inside the ship, the atmosphere had shifted. The eerie transmissions, the growing mental strain on the crew, and the cryptic warnings etched into ancient signals had transformed curiosity into dread. Captain Ilara Voss stood before the main holo display, her face drawn but resolute. The decrypted message haunted her mind. "This ring is our prison and your inheritance." What had humanity inherited? And from whom? Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. The bridge was bathed in a cold blue glow, pulsing rhythmically. The air hummed with energy, and Valen's voice filled the room, unusually calm but with an undercurrent of urgency. Captain, an unknown entity is attempting to establish a connection through the ship's neural interface. Ilara's brow furrowed. Show me. The holo display shifted to a streaming visualization, a swirling pattern of light and shadow coalescing into a shape, a translucent, humanoid figure hovering in the center of the bridge. It was ethereal, flickering like a specter caught between fates. The crew gasped. Lieutenant Marajin gripped the console. Is it alive? Dr. Kavir Chen's voice trembled. It appears to be a consciousness or an AI, but far beyond anything we've encountered, and it's human. The figure's form solidified, revealing features eerily familiar, resembling a long-lost ancestor, yet radiant with something otherworldly. Its eyes glowed with infinite depth. The figure spoke, voice resonating directly inside their minds rather than through sound. I am the Watcher. I was once like you, flesh and blood, before evolution tore me apart and rebuilt me. We who created this ring are your forebears, the first children of Earth, who transcended flesh to become guardians of the cosmos. Ilara's heart pounded. You created the ring? Why? What is imprisoned here? The Watcher's gaze darkened. Inside this void lies the darkness, the hunger beyond light and life. We bound it here, but the prison weakens. Your arrival triggers its awakening. You carry the key to its release or its eternal binding. A chill ran down Ilara's spine. What key? The human soul, the essence that bridges flesh and the infinite. Your very presence and choices will decide the fate of this prison and the galaxy. The crew exchanged stunned looks. The mission had become something far greater than exploration. They were now arbiters of cosmic balance. Suddenly, the Watcher's form shimmered and expanded, filling the room with blinding light. Images flooded their minds, visions of star systems consumed by shadows, worlds falling silent, civilizations erased. Then a flicker of hope. A future where humanity's evolution was intertwined with the Watcher's legacy, rising to meet the darkness with light. Ilara clenched her fists. How do we stop it? You cannot. Only delay. The ring's power is failing. You must choose, embrace the transformation and join us, or fight to destroy the prison, knowing the cost. The figure's light faded, leaving a lingering echo. Valen's voice cut through the silence. Captain, the ring's structure is destabilizing. Energy readings indicate a critical failure in containment fields. Prepare for evacuation, Ilara ordered. But we must learn more. This changes everything. In the days that followed, the crew grappled with the revelation. The Watcher's appearance fractured their understanding of humanity's past and future. Some, like Kavir, were awestruck, eager to explore the possibilities of transcending flesh. Others, like Mara Jin, feared losing their identity to an alien. Evolution. Ilara felt the weight of command heavier than ever. She gathered the crew for a meeting. We stand at a crossroads, she said. This ring is a legacy of those who came before us, and a prison for something darker. We face an impossible choice: evolve beyond humanity as we know it, or fight to protect our fragile existence. Her words sparked heated debate, but beneath the discord a unanimous resolve. Whatever path they chose, it would reshape human destiny. One night, Ilara was summoned to the bridge by Valen. Captain, the Watcher requests direct neural interface. Activation. Ilara hesitated, then connected the neural link. Her mind flooded with memories not her own. Ancient histories, cosmic battles, sacrifices beyond reckoning. She saw the rise of the first children, humans who merged with the universe's fabric to create the prison ring. She felt their anguish, their hope, and their warning. But then, deeper still, a shadow lurked, the darkness itself, whispering promises of power and oblivion. Ilara broke the link, gasping. The choice before them was a battle not only for survival, but for the soul of humanity. The Valiant hovered at the galactic edge, the cosmic ring now alive with unstable energy. The Watcher's warning echoed in their minds. The darkness was stirring, and with it, an unthinkable fate awaited. Ilara stared into the void, knowing that the next step could unleash salvation or annihilation. Captain Ilara Voss stood alone on the bridge, the vast blackness of the void beyond the ring pressing in like a living thing. The hum of the HSS Valiant systems felt fragile, as if the entire ship might shatter under the weight of what they faced. She had spent hours connected to the Watcher, her mind still reeling from the flood of ancient memories and cosmic truths. The choice the Watcher laid before them was both terrifying and exhilarating: to evolve into something beyond flesh and blood, or to fight for their humanity, knowing that destruction could follow. She turned as the soft chime of the communication console echoed through the room. Rian Markov's voice crackled softly. "Captain, you need to see this." On the main screen, the ring's surface shimmered with new energy pulses, violent and erratic. The containment fields were faltering faster than predicted. The darkness at the center of the ring writhed, flickering like a living shadow, threatening to spill into the void beyond. "Phelan, status report," Ilara ordered. "Containment fields, at 62% efficiency, declining at an accelerating rate," the AI replied. "Projections estimate total failure within 72 hours. Ilara's jaw tightened. "We don't have 3 days. Down in the ship's research lab, Dr. Kavir Chen and Lieutenant Mara Jin debated their next move. Kavir was captivated by the Watcher's promise of transcendence. "Ilara doesn't understand. This is evolution on a cosmic scale. We can become more than human, become guardians of the galaxy, just as the first children did." Mara shook her head, fierce and unyielding. "And lose ourselves in the process. We're human because of our imperfections, our choices, our struggles. Becoming guardians might mean losing what makes us us. What if this darkness is more than just a monster? What if it's part of the balance?" Kavir's face hardened. "We don't have the luxury of balance. The darkness is a threat, but the ring is our safeguard. If we destroy the ring, the darkness consumes everything." "Or," Mara said quietly, "it frees us to choose." Their argument was interrupted by a sudden system alert. The ship shuddered as the ring pulsed, violently, a deep resonant sound vibrating through the hull. Ilara called an emergency meeting. The crew assembled in the briefing room, faces pale but determined. "We stand at the brink," Ilara began. "The Watcher offers us 2 paths, transcendence or defiance. But either choice risks everything." She paused, her gaze sweeping over the room. "We have a plan, a desperate one. We'll send a team to the ring's surface to attempt to stabilize the containment fields manually," Ryan explained. "It's the only way to buy time." Kavir nodded. "And while they work, we'll attempt to deepen communication with the Watcher. Maybe find another way." Mara spoke last, voice steady. "I'll lead the surface team. I won't let humanity be erased." The shuttle launched through the darkness toward the colossal ring. Mara's team worked quickly, battling interference and dangerous energy surges. The ring's surface was cold and alien, but beneath the beauty of fractal patterns lay an urgent threat. The containment fields flickered like dying stars. Mara set to work, overriding controls and stabilizing nodes. But every fix was temporary. The darkness's hunger seemed to claw at reality itself, tearing at the very fabric of the ring. Inside the Valiant, Ilara maintained contact with the Watcher. The translucent figure appeared more frequently now, offering fragmented guidance and visions of a future twisted by power or redemption. "Captain," the Watcher said during one neural link, "you are the hinge of fate. To refuse evolution is to invite oblivion, but to accept it is to sacrifice your essence." Ilara's resolve hardened. "We choose humanity, we fight." Back on the ring, Mara's team encountered something impossible: a fracture in the void, an opening in the prison wall, pulsing with dark energy. From its depths, whispers echoed, promising power and freedom. One of the engineers faltered, drawn to the darkness. Mara shouted, pulling him back. "This isn't freedom. It's a trap." Suddenly, a shadow surged from the breach, a writhing mass of darkness, twisting and snarling with alien rage. The team scrambled, retreating as the entity lashed out. On Ahuera, the Valiant alarms blared. Energy readings spiked. The darkness was spilling through. "Seal all bulkheads. Activate defensive shields," Alara commanded. The ship shook violently as tendrils of shadow breached the hull's outer layer. Valen's voice was calm but urgent. "Intrusion detected. Defensive protocols engaged." Alara's mind raced. The darkness was no longer contained. It was fighting to escape, to consume everything. But amid the chaos, a new voice rang through the comms. Clear, steady, human. "It's me, Luis Ramirez." Alara's heart clenched. The engineer who had collapsed after hearing his sister's voice from the void. "Luis, report," she shouted. His voice was steady but shaken. "I was possessed by the darkness. But something inside me fought back. I don't know how, but I resisted. We can fight this," Alara nodded grimly. "Then we will, for humanity's sake." As the Valiant prepared for battle, the crew faced the unthinkable, a cosmic horror born from humanity's forgotten past, threatening to consume the galaxy. And their survival depended not on weapons or technology, but on their will to remain human in the face of oblivion. The choice was theirs, and theirs alone. The HSS Valiant quaked as the tendrils of darkness clawed at its hull, a silent storm battering against human resolve. Inside the ship, panic and determination interwove like the threads of a fragile tapestry struggling to hold. Captain Alara, Fa stood rigid in the command chair, eyes sharp and voice steady despite the chaos. "Seal all non-essential compartments and reroute power to defensive systems. Valen, prioritize crew safety over ship systems. We're not giving that thing any foothold." "Acknowledged, Captain," the AI responded, voice calm but tinged with urgency. "Containment protocols active. Estimated time before hull breach, 65 minutes. Outside, the darkness pulsed, a living shadow creeping into cracks, seeping through microscopic fractures, a plague that threatened to devour their sanctuary. Luis Ramirez sat in medbay, pale but conscious, the remnants of the darkness lingering in his eyes. Psychologist Dr. Lila Moreno observed him carefully. "Luis, can you tell me what happened inside your mind?" she asked gently. He swallowed hard. It was like a voice, dark, seductive. It promised power, knowledge, freedom from pain. At first, I felt like it was going to take me over. But then, something inside me fought back. I don't know what, but it was like my sister's voice calling me back. Lila nodded slowly. "You resisted an ancient intelligence that wants to consume us all. That's remarkable." Luis managed a weak smile. "Doesn't feel like..." Meanwhile, on the ring's surface, Mara Jin and her team worked feverishly trying to repair the containment nodes. The breach they'd encountered earlier now pulsed with a terrifying energy, an open wound in reality. "We can't hold this much longer," Mara radioed. "The darkness is spreading." Suddenly, one of the engineers screamed. From the shadows, a malformed creature emerged, part shadow, part flesh, with glowing eyes and a mouth filled with teeth like shattered stars. Mara raised her pulse rifle, firing as the creature lunged. The team fought desperately, but more of the creatures emerged. Spawn. Of the darkness, warped and ravenous. "Retreat, retreat to the shuttle," Mara commanded, backing toward their exit. Back on the Valiant, alarms screamed as the creatures breached the outer decks. Dark forms slithered through corridors, spreading a chilling cold that sapped hope. Alara moved swiftly, coordinating defense teams. "Hold the line. No one lets these things through." The ship's security forces fired pulse rifles and stun weapons, but the creatures were relentless, their forms shifting and reforming through shadows. Luis, still weak but determined, volunteered to join the defense. "If the darkness wants me, I'm not going down without a fight." Alara nodded. "Good. We need every hand." As the battle raged, the Watcher appeared again, not in the neural link but physically shimmering on the bridge. "You fight bravely," it said, voice echoing. "But your strength is fleeting. Evolution is inevitable." Alara met its gaze. "And if we refuse? What then?" The Watcher's form flickered. "Then the darkness consumes all. But I will grant you one choice: to carry the legacy forward, or to destroy the prison and risk everything." "Why offer us this choice now?" Alara demanded. "Because," the Watcher replied, "the key is in your hands. The human spirit is both the lock and the blade." In the chaos of the ship, Alara realized the meaning. The darkness could be fought, but only by embracing what made humanity unique: hope, fear, love, defiance. She rallied the crew over the comms. "We're not just fighting shadows. We're fighting for who we are. Remember that." Luis, standing on the front line, shouted back, "For humanity!" As Mara's shuttle broke free from the ring's surface, the ship trembled violently. The breach sealed temporarily, but the cost was high. Several crew members were lost, swallowed by the darkness. Mara looked back at the looming ring, its surface flickering between calm and chaos. This isn't over. Back on the Valiant, Alara's mind raced. The Watcher's offer hung heavy, but she knew their answer. Humanity would fight, not for godhood, not for transcendence, but for survival, for the soul of a species forged in fire and shadow. The void outside whispered, and the battle for the galaxy's fate was just beginning. The HSS Valiant hung precariously on the edge of annihilation, a battered fortress amid the storm of darkness clawing at its hull. The air was thick with tension and the stench of burnt circuits and fear. Captain Alara Voss paced the bridge, each step heavy with the weight of impossible decisions. "We don't have much time," Valen reported. "Hull integrity at 47%. Containment fields on the ring have dropped below 30%. Ilara's eyes hardened. "Then we end this now. Mara, report." The comms crackled, and Mara Jin's voice came through, weary but resolute. "We've stabilized the breach temporarily, but the ring is dying. Its collapse will tear a hole through space itself." Ilara's mind raced. If the ring failed, the darkness would pour into the galaxy. Unstoppable, hungry. "Reroute all power to the ship's experimental phase disruptor," she ordered. "It's our only chance to reinforce the containment from inside the prison." Kavir Chen, monitoring the device, looked up with grim determination. "If this works, it will overload the ring's energy matrix, but it's a suicide mission. The feedback could destroy us all." "Then we'll make it count," Ilara said. The crew gathered in the war room, faces illuminated by the pale glow of tactical displays. For the first time, the gravity of their mission settled fully over them. "We are humanity's shield," Ilara declared. "Tonight we fight not just for survival, but for the future of all life." Mara, standing beside her, nodded. "The ring's power comes from our ancestors' sacrifice. We honor them by holding the line." Luis Ramirez, scarred but unbroken, stepped forward. "I don't know what part of me resisted the darkness, but I'm ready to use it to fight back." Applause rippled through the room. Despite despair, hope burned fiercely. The Valiant moved into the ring's hollow core, the ship's experimental disruptor humming with raw energy. Shadows flickered along the walls, echoes of the darkness attempting to breach. As Alara prepared, the device, the Watcher, appeared beside her, more solid than ever. "You defy destiny," it said softly. "You cling to what is fragile." "We cling because it is ours," Ilara replied. "Humanity is defined by its struggle, not by its surrender." The Watcher's gaze softened. "Then carry our legacy well." Alara activated the disruptor. The ship vibrated as immense energy surged outward, weaving through the ring's matrix. The darkness screamed in defiance, tendrils recoiling, but the price was immediate. Power overload sparked across the Valiant, systems failing one by one. "Shields failing, hull breach imminent," Valen warned. Ilara gritted her teeth. "Contain the breaches, keep the disruptor stable." In the ship's corridors, Luis led a squad against waves of shadow creatures trying to sabotage the disruptor. His connection to the darkness granted him insight. He could anticipate their moves, their whispers. During a fierce fight, Luis felt the darkness pulling at him again, seductive and cold. "You belong to us," it hissed, but he pushed back, shouting, "Not today." He unleashed a surge of light from within, scattering the shadows. His teammates cheered, inspired by his defiance. Meanwhile, Mara and the surface team transmitted vital data about the ring's failing nodes. Their information allowed Kavir to fine-tune the disruptor's frequency. "Almost there," Kavir muttered, sweat pouring down his face. Suddenly, a new voice echoed through the ship, a distorted, anguished cry unlike any before. "Release us. Free us. We are the lost." The ship trembled violently. The darkness was fighting for its survival and its freedom. Ilara stood firm, voice steady. "We will not let you consume us." With a final surge, the disruptor unleashed a wave of energy that rippled through the ring. The darkness screamed, retreating into the shadows. The Valiant shuddered as the ring's structure stabilized, for now. The immediate threat was held back, but the cost was high. Systems were critically damaged and the ship drifted, powerless but alive. Ilara exhaled slowly. "We survived the night." The crew gathered, exhausted but victorious. In the quiet aftermath, Ilara reflected on the Watcher's words and the legacy of the first children. They had inherited a cosmic prison, yes, but more importantly, they inherited the choice to fight, to endure, to remain human. The battle was far from over, but humanity had taken its first stand against the darkness, and in the void the Watcher watched with hope. The HSS Valiant drifted silently in the dim glow of the cosmic ring, battered but unbroken. The immediate threat of the darkness had been contained, for now, but the scars of battle lingered like ghosts. Systems flickered, and the hum of life aboard the ship was quieter, heavier with exhaustion. Captain Ilara Voss stood at the bridge's observation window, staring out into the void. The ring's vast structure pulsed faintly, stabilizing after the violent storm. She could feel the weight of history pressing down, the centuries-old sacrifice of the first children etched into the fabric of space itself. Behind her, the crew moved through the ship with tentative steps, wounded, weary, but alive. Mara Jin limped in, her face drawn but resolute. "Captain," Mara said softly, "we held the line, but the ring won't last forever. We need a plan." Ilara nodded, eyes still on the distant stars. "We do, and that plan begins with what we've learned." In the lab, Dr. Kavir Chen was poring over the data from the disruptor's pulse and the ring's energy matrix. "The ring's containment fields are weakening steadily," he explained. "But the disruptor stabilized it longer than anyone expected. With modifications, we might sustain it indefinitely." Luis Ramirez, standing beside Kavir, rubbed the back of his neck. "If we're going to hold this darkness back, we need more than tech. We need something the darkness can't touch, our spirit, our will." Kavir glanced up thoughtfully. "The Watcher said the human soul is the key. Maybe that's the real weapon." Ilara convened a final meeting with the crew. The mood was sober but hopeful. "We inherited a prison built from sacrifice," she began. "But it's also a beacon, a challenge to every human to rise beyond fear. We fought for our right to be human and to decide what humanity means." She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of every person. "We will not become gods or shadows. We will become ourselves, guardians of our own destiny." Mara stepped forward. "We'll form a coalition, a new order dedicated to maintaining the ring and fighting the darkness wherever it appears." Luis smiled faintly. "And we'll remember those we lost. Their fight wasn't in vain." Days later, the Valiant limped toward the galactic edge, toward home. The ring's light faded behind them, a monument of resilience and warning. Ilara sat alone in her quarters, staring at a hollow image of Earth, blue, fragile, and beautiful. Her fingers traced the outlines of continents. She thought of the Watcher's final message during their last neural link. "Your journey has only begun." You are the legacy of the first children, the last hope of the cosmos. Keep the light alive. A quiet determination filled her chest. The galaxy was vast, the darkness lurking still, but humanity had faced the abyss and refused to blink. On the bridge, Valen's voice broke the silence. Captain, incoming transmission. Origin, Earth Command. Ilara moved to the console, heart quickening. The transmission crackled to life, Earth's leaders speaking, their voices urgent but hopeful. HSS Valiant, your mission is a beacon of hope to all humanity. Prepare for debriefing and immediate reintegration. Your discoveries will change the future. Ilara allowed herself a rare smile. Set course for Earth, she said. It's time to bring the light home. As the Valiant sailed toward the stars, a new chapter opened. One where humanity, forged in struggle and shadow, stood ready to write its own destiny. The darkness had been held at bay, but the galaxy whispered of many more challenges to come. Yet now Earth's children were no longer just explorers or survivors, they were guardians. The legacy of the first children lived on, not as gods but as humans, flawed, resilient, and unyielding. And somewhere beyond the veil of stars, the Watcher smiled, knowing that the light of humanity had finally begun to shine truly bright. The end.